Okay. All right. All right. My name is Samantha Stundtner. Today is Monday, April 8th. The time is 3:55. We are at VFW in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. I'm interviewing Teresa Marie Clemetson, who was born on October 15th, 1967 in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, and served in the Navy from January 1986 to May 2009. She served during Desert Shield/Storm, December 1990 to March 1991. Teresa Clemetson served 12 years as an enlisted hospital corpsman, second class, as a surgical technician, then was commissioned as an officer and obtained the rank of Lieutenant Commander 04, completing 11 years as an operating room registered nurse. Teresa was one of the first in Wisconsin under the Reserve Allied Medical Program. This interview is being sponsored by Bell Tower Memorial. All right, so my first question is, what were you doing before you entered the service?
I just had graduated high school and was entered at, used to be Waukesha County Technical Institute in Pewaukee. I signed up for a surgical tech program. I wanted to be an surgeon, but I lived here. My parents didn't have any money. They didn't really know how to go about. They didn't even have a high school diploma, either of them. And I was very academically good at school. And then I thought, well, I'm going to go to school, and I didn't know how to go around about it. So I went to WCTC and signed up for that surgery because I wanted to be a surgeon, a surgical tech. And so I was in there. And then, yeah. So then one day at the Navy, a recruiter, it was actually a female recruiter, female Marine came to our school halfway, like they come to high schools or colleges to try to recruit people. Okay. And I was 17 still, and so I could go more, but you can keep going. Yeah.
So what drew you to the Navy? Like, why did you end up choosing to enlist in the Navy?
Well, they came to us. So again, the Navy and Marine Corps are together. So the Navy provides health care for the Marines. So there was a new program called the Reserve Allied Medical Program. So this young Marine recruiter was going around colleges, campuses, to try to get civilian studies, laboratory techs, pharmacy techs, x-ray techs, and surgical techs. And this was a program. At 1985, they gave us a $6,000 bonus to sign on. You had to sign for 8 years, and then you'd see the world and get paid while you're seeing the world. And then they would reimburse you back for your college. So when you're 17, I thought that would be a great deal. And they're the only ones that I knew about, so went home and signed up.
Okay. How did your family react to your enlisting? And like, what was their attitude toward the military at the time?
Well, it wasn't anything. My mom and dad were not anywhere. They, like I said, didn't even have a high school diploma. But my and dad's like, absolutely not, Terry. Really, you want to go? Why just go to school? What? But if that's what you want to do, and I was still 17, so I had to have permission back then until you're 18. So my dad and mom did sign for me, and then I turned 18. But and then it's not everybody was in our family. We had lots of relatives, but neither of them were in the service. Like my grandpa was a pilot, but it just, you don't realize it until that would be taken away your child, but really not. So yeah. So it was positive, but
yeah. Took some convincing.
Yeah. Well, the money. After I heard all the money,
All right. So you joined the Navy Reserves while studying to be a surgical technician. So in short, how would you describe that the reserves are and serving part-time is different than serving full-time?
So in the military, a lot of people don't understand that, but when you join, it's the 6 services now, but Navy, Air Force, Marines. So this is a new program that started, and so you go to boot camp and you're in with people that are active full-time every day. It's like, when we go to school, your job right now is to go to school every day. That's your job, right? You go to school full-time to school, but maybe your mom or dad stay home one time, and then they're part-time and they only go to their job a couple days a week. So, but they're still considered, whether, like, I'm a nurse, you're still a nurse, you're still a doctor full time, whether you go for 2 days a week or for 5 days a week, you're still considered. So, like, to compare and say, oh, you're only in the reserves, that's not true. You're in the Navy, but you don't go every day to the Navy. Okay. So, but the training is all the same. So we have to know the same thing. I go to boot camp. When I went, I learned everything that the person that was going to go on the ship every single day. But then when I was done, after all that, then I go back and I finish my I'll do my operating room job, but I'm not under the Navy, and then I go sometimes, and then I'm in the Navy. So yeah, I'm both worlds. So it's kind of hard because you're transitioning from one civilian to another, and it's a whole different way of thinking.
Yeah.
So, but I'll continue later. I think there's more questions.
Yeah. All right. Well, kind of on the topic of boot camp, can you tell me about, like, the early weeks of your training and a little bit of how you adapted to military life?
So so I was from this little town, and again, the decades are different. 2024 is way different than it was in 1985 and 86. But there were female in the Navy boot camp. We had 3 boot camps, one at Great Lakes, which was only for boys, San Diego, which was only for boys, and the only where females would go was in Orlando, Florida. Currently, there is no more Navy recruiting in Orlando, Florida, and no more in San Diego. The only place now where everybody goes, and they're separated at initial, is Great Lakes, Illinois, in the middle. And I'm sure it all had to do with money, but whatever, I don't know the rationale. And then obviously, so when I went in, I knew, there were standards that you were told from the recruiter, what you're gonna, you're going to be sleeping with a whole bunch, 80 other girls. You're going to have a routine every day. So what boot camp is you're together for a team. So we went in the Navy. We got up in the morning. We put our uniforms on. We went to school. We marched. We did PT and stuff first. Showered. We went to school every day. We learned how to tie knots. I have a book, how to be a Navy, how to learn how to be on a ship. Everything. And that we went to school just like you go to school and you're learning history, right? Yeah. Well, that's what we did for 12 weeks. You do that. And then in the nighttime, then you have inspections. You learn how to wear the uniforms. And it was hard for some people, but I came from a family that was very orderly. But if people aren't orderly, it's hard. So, and if you're not physically fit, you're gonna have a hard time. But so. And then once you're in that every day, it's hard to come back. So after boot, but we can talk about that after. Yeah. Okay.
Did you know anyone going into boot camp, or was it like a completely
none of my
new relationships?
Yeah, all new relationships. Yeah. Okay. And from all over the country, like I slept next to somebody from, I'm being from this little small town. I never went, like how all you kids nowadays can. Every weekend you go somewhere since you've been 2 years old. Back when I was a little girl, the furthest I went was up north, maybe one, every 5 years. We didn't go anywhere. You didn't meet. You were always with your family. So it's cool meeting somebody from Tennessee, somebody from Oregon, somebody from Colorado.
Nice.
So yeah, all different cultures, all different ways of life. So yeah.
And then did you continue to stay in touch with them as you continued your military career, or did you guys all just
no, because you're all in for one, learning how to be a Navy, and then after that you go to school again to whatever. Then you learn. Everybody splits up, and there's other schools, and that's when you go into, and then you become your actual job, what you're going to do in the Navy.
Okay.
So, but my job was different. So I was a corpsman, but I already know how to be a corpsman because I already went to civilian school. So that's what the ramp reserve program was, a different way. But you go to specialty schools in the Navy after that.
Yeah.
And then they're co-ed, and that's when you meet, you're with boys and girls.
Okay.
So
What Okay. Can you tell me like your most vivid memory of boot camp, like your favorite and then worst aspect of it as well? So is there anything that you remember like particularly that stood out, or was it just
No, like I said,
early on?
meeting lots of different people. I being exposed to seeing the world basically of United States right now, because I never met people from all over. I never was to Tennessee, so that was the
Okay.
coolest thing. I really didn't have any bad. I enjoyed it. So I, I wanted to be it was fun. And I wanted to be away because I wanted to be away from my family for a little bit, experience something on my own,
Have some like
grow up.
independence.
It's just turning 18. You get that being an individual. You're trying to find yourself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And then you mentioned special training. So, um, what kind of special training did you get, and like what was that like?
I really didn't, because I already had. So my specific thing, I went in to learn how to be in the Navy. Then I go to a specialty school for another 4 weeks to learn how to be a seaman, even more detailed on a ship. And there's always physical stuff too. And then after that, then you get an assignment. It's called a billet. So like when you apply for a job, like a Quick Trip or whatever, they only have, they have maybe one part-time job and one full-time job on first shift and second shift, right? There's only 2 spots open. Well, that's how the military works too. You have your job. Like I was a corpsman with specialty surgical tech, but there's only so many jobs for a hospital corpsman with surgical tech and your rank. So you have to apply for those jobs, and it's called a billet in the Navy, and then you get those. And so, and my assignment was then to my first one was at Great Lakes in the hospital. I got to be there first. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then kind of going into that, you said you were assigned to Great Lakes. How long was that assignment for?
just like 5 or 6 weeks, and then I come back, and then I started doing my reserves, and then I went go one weekend a month in Milwaukee down by the Navy. That was my assignment next.
Okay.
So now I'm in reserves because I'm done with my active duty then. But then as I was doing my reserve weekend, one day we had our weekend, and then Desert Shield was going on, and then some of us got selected to go. Again, it's all computer. It's all based on criteria of jobs that they needed. They were going to be sending out 2 hospital ships from 2 coasts, and they needed 1,200 people on each of those ships to go off. Okay. So they took them from all over the country, like any ship, like anybody in the Navy, they, recruit people to go, and then you get called up to go. So
Yeah. So that ship, that was the U.S. Mercy.
yes.
Yeah.
USNS Mercy.
USNS Mercy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think you were telling me before it's kind of like a floating hospital. Specifically, like what kind of vessel was it?
It used to be oil tankers. Is the history of the Mercy and the Comfort. So the Mercy is on the California, the West Coast, its port, and the Comfort was on the that's the other hospital ship during Desert Shield. Comfort. It was on the East Coast. Okay. So if you were activated to those, you went, like I got on the ship. I should back up, sorry. So the ship was, in port. Okay. So when this hospital ship when Desert Shield started back in August of 1990, there was a crew. So that hospital ship has 1,200 people. But now there's the Navy that does it. Remember, I told you about the people every single day, right, that are in the Navy. So they are assigned. There was a crew of like maybe 30, 40 people that are in that ship. That's their ship. That they go every single day. They live on that ship. They take care of the ship. And boom, now it's activated. It's got to go out to sea. Okay, so those 40 people or 50, whatever, I don't know the exact number. I'm just saying. Okay, so now those people are getting that ship ready, but now they got to go to wherever they're sailed to, in which they had to go all up and around the equator and get over to the
West Coast?
No, to Bahrain and Dubai. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
So and then So that they sail that ship out, and then all the rest of the people are starting to come now. And we got called, so we had to fly into Dubai, into Saudi Arabia, and then that's where we got on the ship.
Oh, I see.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's very confusing,
okay.
but sorry. Trying to do a bunch of things together to tell you so I don't go off on a rant.
Yeah, so you got on in Dubai, and then
Correct.
what kind of like sorry, what were you doing on like the Mercy at that time?
Well, so this ship came from California with its crew, and it sailed all the way across the equator to get there. Then people from all over the rest of the country that were called up got on that ship. Now the vessel is too large to be into port. Like, you can't just go on a pier and jump onto that ship. You know, this is an oil tanker. It's you know, not quite as big as an aircraft carrier, but it's getting pretty close. So that ship is out like hundreds of miles away from the port in Dubai. So, and it has one of those ladders like in the old-fashioned movies. If you watch some of the military movies, on the side of the big ships, they have those things that you walk up the planks, and the guys are carrying their sea bags and all that. Well, you know what? That was me, because I was in this uniform, my enlisted one, but dress uniform, carrying that big green sea bag with all my stuff in it, my Navy bag. And we got off, and then we took a little tugboat, like, you know, a bunch of groups of people that were all from all over the country coming on, and 30 people at a time, and we'd walk up that thing and go on this massive ship. So that's how we all loaded that ship. Now remember, there were still like 50 or 60, I'm going to say. There's probably more that sailed it over, but I'm just still sticking with them numbers because I don't know. So, and then that's where we all got on, and then at that point, then we sailed away, and then we went off. And you know, I don't know anything more, because every mission in the military has their missions, and you don't know what is happening. So I'm not sailing the ship, so I don't know. So there we go. So we're on that ship now, and my job, I came on there to work in the operating room. My job was to be in the operating room. So now every single day, as long as I'm on that ship, it was an indefinite. We didn't know what was going to happen during Desert Shield, that it would be done in like 10 days, you know, the actual war itself. So we got on there, you know, we didn't have, it was Shield still. We weren't at war. We were just getting ready for something. And so every day I got up in the morning, I got dressed, ate breakfast, I went into the operating room, and you know, that was my job. We basically cleaned, because we had no patients yet. You know, we had 20 operating rooms on the ship. It was the same, at the same time I was working at St. Luke's. So it's pretty much St. Luke's floating on the ocean. And so we were getting ready. Now there's 1,200 people, but there's lab techs, x-ray techs, doctors, nurses on all the ICU floor. You know, like I said, it's a floating St. Luke's. And then you got the people that are the seaboard people, you know, not the healthcare people, but the ones steering the ship and doing the life rafts. And then we had drills, and then we were real Navy sailors. I went up those things, the stairwells. We always had drills, you know, all the actual stuff that when you watch movies, you hear those bells. That was part of our life. That's how I lived for 90 some days. So so when January 11th was when it started. So like I was on the ship for like a month, and then the sirens went off, and then it said, we are declared war. We're at war, all quarters, all quarters. And so then that's when casualties started. Like once the Marines went in, then the casualties, because so then the operating room got busy, because we had brought stuff. The helicopters were unloading, you know, but I wasn't one that would unload the helicopters, even though I was trained in that with the Marines. But my job was to be in the operating room. So I see. So that's what I did. Then I cleaned, ate, and did surgery. Did a lot of cleaning.
So those wounded soldiers got onto the ship by the helicopter. You flew them in? Yeah,
they flew the Marines, because again, we're with the Marines. Yeah. So the Marines on land take care with the Navy.
All right.
So
okay.
And around our ship was Battleship Wisconsin. So he was I think I told you, yeah, the battleship. But,
Yeah. Okay. On the ship, how did you stay in touch with home, or were you just like out there living?
You wrote letters.
You just
Yeah,
wrote
you
letters.
go out letters. So I never got really anything until my mom got all the letters, and I got them when I got home because, you know, we didn't have cell phone. We didn't have any of that stuff.
Okay.
You know, you just wrote an old-fashioned letter, but
Oh.
mail, yeah. Once a blue moon, the mail came in, but yeah.
Okay. I guess can we talk about like some of your relationships like on the Mercy, like so you're saying there were the other, well, you had the can we use the picture right here?
Oh yeah.
You said there were the other surgical techs right here. How?
Yeah, there was probably like 30 different. I mean, those aren't all. My friend, lady friend, was a surgical tech, but not, you know, half. These are operating. You know, there's just everybody our age was on there, and X-ray techs, lab techs, surgical techs, nurses. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Were there any like humorous or like unusual events that you can remember on the Mercy? That anything that stood out to you?
Well, this picture right here, we celebrated his I forget his name, Juan's 21st birthday, right? So, you know, it's just we just live life like you would when you're in high school, you know, every day, whatever you do.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's just you're on a ship floating, and when something bad happens, you know, that's what the military is. So,
all right.
I don't know what else to. It's just all we did was get ready for stuff. We always know where our lifeboats are, you know how to, you know, you're always in groups. So there's just lots of stuff to be on a ship ready in case we got hit. We got like the Titanic. So.
I guess kind of coming towards the end of like the active duty section. But what do you consider to be your most important contribution during your service?
Boy, that's a good question. My most important contribution, I think, just being a positive person and following and just consistency and being with all the people I've been with, and just, I don't know, my contribution is, yeah, just positive and doing my job. I don't know what else to say about contribution. Yeah, just given my time, that I spent my time with others that wanted to spend their time with me out there. It's kind of a special relationship you have when you're in the military with everybody. It's just, I don't know, it's hard, could make you cry. So, but yeah,
okay.
You don't understand it unless you're part of a group of people that all have the same mindset, you know, focus. You know, when you're in high school, you're all in the same class, but you're just not all together. You're not all together like you are when you're in the military.
Creates a special bond.
Yes.
Would you say?
Yes. And, you know, and then you meet another military person somewhere, like when I started coming here, and you just click, you just talk. I mean, it's just something special. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then okay, one more question towards the end of active duty. How long did you stay in the service, and did you reenlist?
Yeah, every 8 years in the Navy, it's every 8 years you reenlist.
Okay.
So 23 years.
All right.
So I finished. I had just made promotion to L04, and then we were going to get called out, and then we had all that Iraq stuff, you know, in the 2000s, Iraq, and our unit already got called up. Like, I did little things. I didn't go all the way to Iraq, but we did stuff at Great Lakes and stuff, our unit, and it was our turn. They all rotate, and I was with the Marines at that. We switched again, and now we're with the Marines. The Marines are going, you know, for their 5th duty, and now they're going to bring some of us from Milwaukee. I'm like, you know what? I had 2 little babies at home, and I'm like, 23 is good. I think I'm going to hang it up.
Okay.
I wanted to stay in for 3. You had 2 of. I would have stayed in for another 3 years, but I would have been all over, and don't want to. I did enough. I was everywhere else, so a lot of other places too. So,
okay.
But just focus on what we're here for.
Right. So then, how did you get home from your last assignment? You were in the U.S. at the time, right? So did you just?
You mean how did we get home from? we went to Thailand. We sailed the ship back from
yes, yeah.
from the Mercy.
Mhm.
Yeah, we came and we went to Thailand. We went over the equator and we came back to California. So,
All right.
yeah. So didn't sail it out, but sailed it back.
So then, since then, like, what's it been like to transition back to the civilian life after the military?
You know what? I don't think I really ever transitioned back. I just always kept doing for 23 years, since I was out of high school, and then I had my family. So, that's sometimes, and it's just, I don't think I ever did. When I go to my job now, I'm like, why can't you guys just get along? And why, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off on it. And
no, that's okay.
but,
we still have some time.
Okay, but yeah, the severe, the hospitals, St. Luke's, when I'm in the operating room at St. Luke's versus when I'm on the ships with, other people I've been to Japan in operating rooms, San Diego operating rooms, Charleston, Norfolk, Virginia, all over the world operating rooms, and they're all the same feel no matter where you are in the military. But then when you go to Elmbrook or you go to St. Luke's or you're at Waukesha, they're just, and the people, it's just, again, people aren't on the same page. In the military, you're on the same page, I think. Mm-hmm. Most everybody together. That's my philosophy. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. So have you stayed in touch with some of your military friends, or?
I just I'm part of VFW and Legion and all that stuff. So yeah, not anybody that I was in Milwaukee. A lot of, getting older now, a lot of issues with other people that, a lot of them are actually not even around anymore. They're passed because I was a lot younger and had older people friends. So, but yeah. Okay. So should we show? Yeah. So I just real quick, we'll wrap up, but here's one of the coolest things, our gas mask. So, and inside there's a little straw. So I don't know, you probably don't want ears, but that's how you actually drink. So during the gas, it comes out, you pull it out here and there's a straw in there. Wow. Oh. So that's how you actually, during biological warfare, and I got a whole gear that goes with that, and you showed the picture already here. Mm-hmm. And then also in the Navy, we're part of with the Marines. So sometimes we get dirty and there's operating room. So there we are, that we sleep.
And then holding it up to the.
Oh. So let's see. And that's an operating room when you're on Fleet Hospital, not in the hospital. So, but yeah. So, is there questions that other ones that you need, or you're good? Any more questions about the mask or anything? No. A mask.
I think we can finish up with maybe like 2 or 3 questions. Okay. So what do you miss most about being in the Navy? You were talking about like the community kind of.
Well, yeah, and I'm still in it because I come now. So now that I'm retired. But then we have the American Legions, we have auxiliaries, we have VFWs. That's why we have all these other places. So hopefully, and we can get some of the young people, and I think they're starting now, but that's how we all military people can still come together in all these things. All those, that's why there's so many posts around and legions and all that. So, and because I think they'll always be together like that. So, and that if that's what I do, like to stay with my friends. So do those activities.
All right. And then what were some of the life lessons that you learned from your military service that you maybe want to share?
Life lessons. Just like listening to folks and just doing your job. Focus on yourself. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing around you. Mm-hmm. Focus on yourself. Don't complain about others. Don't worry. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, everything around your environment should fall into place. And if it's not, well, then that bad little thing will probably fall away because it's not following what it's supposed to. I don't know, I'm so bad at worrying, but just, yeah, worry about yourself, not mostly, you know, and then maybe a couple people around you, you know, and just always do good, and try to always be positive around others so they can do good too.
Yeah, I think that's a good mentality to have.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then everything will work.
Right.
Focus on yourself.
Okay, one more last official question. What would you say to anybody considering joining the military?
Do it. Yeah, both of my children, I tried to do that, tell them, convince them when they were like, you know, at the end of high school, like do ROTC or whatever. And no, you know, you don't focus on that. It's 8 years, 6 years. I'm like, yeah, you know what? It sounds long, but it really goes fast. And they both are now. So, but yeah, I'm very positive. I believe everybody, female and male, should just if it's 8 weeks, just have some sort of controlled environment where you have to learn to be with people and be similar, but you're still your unique self. Yeah. So doing one common job. So you're all a different job, but yet you're doing one job
towards the same
together.
goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great, cool concept, and it really works when it's supposed to.
All right. Then before we wrap up, is there anything that I didn't ask that you feel that's important you want to share?
I mean, what the interview was more about my service on the Desert Storm. So no, I think you're good, because I just keep talking otherwise. Yeah, I'm a talker. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable that you got what you wanted out of the interview?
Yep. I definitely learned a lot.
Join the Navy now? Or your mom's Air Force or Marine?
My mom was in the Coast Guard. So.
Oh yeah, Coast Guard. Coast Guard's cool. It's Navy, you know, water.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something I'm considering right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. As we go into senior year, we'll see. We'll see what the future will hold.
Yeah.
So then, if that's all good, in closing, this has been an interview of Teresa Clemetson regarding her service in the Navy, including her time during Desert Shield / Storm. My name is Samantha Stundtner. The time is 4:27. Thank you for agreeing to this interview, and most importantly, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay.